What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over something that Lucid should really consider doing in the foreseeable future. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is down 0.63%, new 52-week and all-time low of 1093, so not the greatest. And then as far as the high, 1111. Very low volume as per usual. Nothing really coming out associated to Lucid today, so no press releases. There was one SEC filing that I will go over in a second, but regarding macro data, there really wasn't that much early this morning. We did have a Chicago PMI that came in at 43.5, 39 is the forecast. So that was a little bit better than anticipated, but I think overall the market's kind of waiting for FOMC minutes just to signal whether we can start assuming a January cut is on the table or not. So that's going to be the big thing for the broader market. Like I said, nothing really coming out associated to Lucid. There was this 144 that came out after hours yesterday, and it just signals that 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, who is a officer, or at least was, is selling 102,000 shares. And in case you don't know, 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗧 has been terminated, is receiving severance, and actually I think is going after Lucid, suing Lucid for defamation. So kind of crazy stuff. So I think logically this makes sense that they're going to be selling all of their shares. What is really stupid, if you actually think about it, is most of these shares, actually all of these shares, were actually awarded for gravity milestones and many other kind of very low standing milestones. So I think this should be a big signal that Lucid pays its employees way too much. But that's just me. What do I know in life? But when it comes down to Lucid, there really hasn't been any catalyst. So now everyone and their dog is just waiting for them to hit their targets. And I've actually had some comments and asking me, do I think that if Lucid hits that 18,000, is that going to be the bottom for Lucid? Will it only go higher? And the simple answer is no, because there's a lot of other potential risks. Just hitting the 2025 targets is one of many potential problems. Them really stopping dilution is another one. Them giving good, ambitious 2026 target is also another. So there's a lot of things that the market's going to be really tearing Lucid apart over. And plus, I think generally with the markets at all-time highs and Lucid's at all-time lows, that's very telling on how Wall Street really sees Lucid as. It's very speculative. And one thing that I've really complained about, and I think just generally Lucid has had no choice, but a lot of the most recent preferred stock, convertible notes, and things like that, like the PIF is laughing. They're going to get their money and then some. Some people always post saying, well, the PIF has a huge investment. They're losing tons of money. They're actually not. They are not. They actually are the only ones benefiting when Lucid's actually going down, because the lower the stock price, the more convertible shares that they do receive. So they're like good. They're good if it goes down. They're good if it goes up. They don't care. So I've already done a full video about that. I think I put it out a couple months ago on who's truly benefiting from Lucid. And simply it is the PIF. But I personally feel that Lucid itself needs to have some damn backbone. Don't just keep going to the PIF, because the PIF is a glorified loan shark. There's a lot of big names out there in the market that are kind of seen as loan sharks. Yorkville is one of them. But the PIF acts all sophisticated, but they're making tons of money on Lucid, regardless of if it goes up or down. One stock in the EV kind of sector is Polestar. They recently did a reverse stock split and unfortunately did take them down quite a lot, but they're actually starting to really move higher. So over the last 5 days, starting to build up some good momentum. And since them doing reverse stock splits, gone nothing but up. They haven't really put out that much in operational updates, but they actually did put out a couple kind of PRs linked to investments. So for instance, right over here, so Polestar announces equity financing transaction. So they kind of mention it's a equity transaction, but if you actually read between the lines, it's just a purchase. So this entity right here and this entity each bought $150 million worth of stock. One thing that they did to protect themselves is that they purchased a put. So in case you guys don't know how that works, if the underlying asset does go down, then your put appreciates. So both of these companies hedged. This is something that Lucid needs to do. They need to do these types of transactions where it does not impact negatively the shareholders through excessive dilution. These companies still technically stand to benefit if the stock price goes down because of their put, but it's not going to result in more dilution. So I know this might be over the heads of a lot of individuals because there's a lot of random topics that's being brought up so far. But for those of you that kind of tune into my daily Lucid videos, you would know that like the PIF set themselves up perfectly. Like I said, they don't care if technically Lucid goes down or higher. They're making money. Whereas this type of transaction, it benefits shareholders because there's not kind of any further dilution that is going to be occurring. And these companies protect themselves with the put. This is something that Lucid needs to do. Anything else other than this, if Lucid comes out with more kind of convertible notes, and I have bullish people saying, this is amazing, this is good. Like you guys, that's not good at all, not a one bit. And even the last convertible note, there is no capped call. So you're at the mercy of the market. So most likely Lucid going down, just to put it in perspective, I can actually maybe in a following video dive deep into this, just Lucid going down about 15% in this last 1 month alone, that most likely is going to result in probably about, I would assume, about 30 million extra shares that is going to be kind of diluted through the convertible process of just those notes and just through the preferred stock. So the lower the stock price, the more damaging it is. I know I've brought this up in the past. So for instance, we have this stock right here. I've kind of called them out, but it's down 98% over the last 1 year. And I've been warning people way back in 2024, 2023, that this stock, based on the convertible products, is going to kill shareholder value. I always had people just, no, you're wrong, you're spreading FUD, blah, blah, blah. I've given the same warnings as with Lucid. All of these convertible products, preferred stock, notes, they are going to cause all of this unless Lucid really gets their shit together. Pardon my French. So I know that I kind of went on a long rant, but this is something that Lucid needs to do if they care about shareholders. And this most likely is exactly why institutions don't even want to touch Lucid. Right now, there's only one transaction occurring so far on the secondary market above $100,000, and it is a sell for $127,000. So in reality, institutions don't want to touch Lucid at all. Like, it's a dilution machine. And regrettably, retail is being used as kind of the liquidity, which is really unfortunate. But aside from that, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I can maybe clarify it, because I know I kind of went all over the place a little bit in this conversation. But moral of the story is what Polestar is doing through these new investments. It helps by eliminating future dilution, and plus it's good for these companies because they have a put. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. Polestar gets their money, these companies are protected for any downside, and shareholders, current shareholders, are protected from any future dilution. So this type of thing is a very good win. Getting right to some of the data points, shorts are returning about 71,000 shares, 35.38% of the free float is being shorted, so very close to all-time high numbers, which is rather kind of, again, a norm now. So we're kind of going to be seeing kind of lower lows based on the stock price and higher highs from the short interest. 46.1 million shares overall are being shorted. DTC is really moving higher. Cost to borrow is 17.13, so that's oddly enough going down a little bit. Based on the options, 487,000 in calls, 490 in puts, and then 49% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around 11. So optimism has definitely dropped quite significantly. Bears are anticipating for at least the foreseeable future for it to be sub 10. Not necessarily this week, but the week ending January the 9th and 16th, it is anticipated for it to be sub 10. Right now, with it at 1104, trading between this S1 and this S2, so 1099 is going to be that key support that you want to watch for it to hold. When it was selling off or kind of dipped, this wasn't really phased, so I wouldn't really consider this a strong support. 1129 is going to be the next strong target / resistance point. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart, this doesn't look great whatsoever. Stochastic RSI is around 48, so somewhat neutral, not really overbought nor oversold. It is below the 10-day moving average, so signaling kind of less momentum, and market position as well signals that institutions don't want to buy it right now. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. As I've stated many times, I really like the product, just bad. And I think, again, a lot of this issues, they stem kind of back to Peter. Like, Lucid came out and they thought that they were going to be the king. And this is probably social media's problem and fault. They probably overinflated Lucid's head. And because from the get-go, everyone was like, this is the Tesla killer. This is going to be the best stock out there. They have amazing product. And Peter was like, yeah, it is. Amazing product. Still, probably to this day, Lucid doesn't know their target audience. This is why they have random NBA players. They have random, I don't even know, like actors. They have random people who are ambassadors, and I don't think any of them truly are going to benefit Lucid and its shareholders. So Lucid just doesn't know who their target audience is. Mid-size, I think based on that price point, they're gonna probably hit a wider target, but still, Lucid, like, how can any business, even outside of Lucid, how can any business succeed if you don't really truly know how to market your product? So I think Lucid ultimately is definitely needs to figure the crap out very fast. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid, and are you buying? Are you selling? Like, what are you kind of doing with Lucid? One final thing, pop over to my stacked account if you're looking for some solid on-point buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Despite Lucid doing its thing, many of the day trades I put out are up like 50-60% just today alone. And I actually do have a promotion going on right now that it is $1.50 up until the end of the year. So if you sign up, it's $1.50 a month and it will never increase. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.